Hi, I'm Christian Triola, author of The Missing Method for Guitar books. And in this, Reading the Riff, number 9, we're going to go over Day Tripper by the Beatles. I find that studying the Beatles or learning Beatles songs is a lot of ways like studying classical music or Bach. It's something that, as a guitar player, you just want to do it at some point, unless, of course, you're not interested in that sort of thing. But most guitar players get into the Beatles at some point, and they're just a lot of fun and a lot of fun to play on guitar. And of course, Day Tripper is no exception. It may not be one of the Beatles' top songs. It's definitely one of the most popular guitar riffs to play from them. So we're going to take a close look at that today in Reading the Riff number 9. Of course, Day Tripper is off their 1965 album called The Beatles Yesterday and Today. And it was originally written, of course, by Lennon and McCartney, who, of course, wrote a lot of the songs for the Beatles. The interesting thing that I read about this song is that it was kind of commissioned by the record company. They wanted them to write this song just to kind of make money off of another hit. And so they were a little hesitant about doing it. They felt cheap by it. So they didn't really love the song as much as they liked some of their others. But over time, of course, it developed a strong following. It was a big hit and is still popular today. All right, so to get started with Reading the Riff from Day Tripper, they play it in what I like to call the riff area of the neck. Now, you can play a riff anywhere, but this includes, those low open notes, which sound great, and they just kind of stay in that lower region of the neck. And so many songs do that. In fact, you'll find a lot of the Reading the Riff series involves riffs that are played down here in this position of the neck. Now, it can be played a few different ways. Typically, it's played down here. I'm going to show you how to play it up the neck as well, so you can practice reading those notes in a different area of the neck. All right, so let's take a look. Now, the intro riff is played quite a few times. When you hear it in the song, it doesn't sound overplayed. But when you go to play it on guitar, you feel like you're just doing it endlessly. In fact, that opening riff is played something like 8 times before it changes. And when it changes, it basically is the same riff, just on a different set of strings. So it's not for a while into that song that you actually get a break from that riff. But when you hear the song, you typically don't notice that it is that same thing over and over again. So let's get to the riff itself. Our first note, of course, is the low E. And before I go too much further, I should remind you that you'll want to download the PDF that comes with this video, and you'll be able to follow along with the note reading that I'll be talking about here today. So again, that first note is E. Then I use the middle finger to play the 3rd fret, and then the 3rd finger to play the 4th fret. So you're kind of in second position here, just meaning your first finger is going to cover everything on 2nd fret. So again, open last string, 3, 4. Then we switch strings going to the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then it comes over to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So far we have open, that's held out for a beat and a half. And that last note I played, of course, was that 4th string open. So open, hold. The next several notes are all one right after another. 3, 4, 2, 2, open. Or 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. All right. After that, we have kind of a small pause. The next 2 notes kind of outline a B5 power chord. We get the 2nd fret of the 5th string. Then we jump up to the 4th fret of the 4th string. And that note is held out. So with that opening part, it sounds like this. And that leaves us with just a couple of extra notes at the end here, which are 2nd fret 5th string, open 4th string, 2nd fret 4th string. So again, 5th string, 2nd fret, opens 4th, 2nd fret on that 4th string. So all together we have open, 3, 4, 2, 2, open, 2, 4, 2, open, 2. And so you want to practice that until you can get it up to speed. And then, of course, to play the actual song, you'd repeat that something like 8 times. The next part of that riff, which is in the PDF, is you take that same exact fingering, move it down a string. So instead of starting on the 6th string, we're starting on the 5th. Then we're doing 3, 4, 2, 2, open, 2, 4, 2, 0, 2. But that only happens once. It's kind of just a nice break before we go back to. So to play that whole verse section of the song, you would play the opening riff essentially 2 times, change to the other riff, and then come back to the opening riff again. So I'm going to play through all that. So here's the opening riff 2 times. And then after that, it goes into the chorus and continues on from there. All right, so that's the main riff. You'll want to download that PDF so you can practice reading it. But another way you can read it, it's not as practical to play it this way, but it's kind of a fun thing just to test yourself, is you could play open, 3, 4, slide up to the 7th fret on the last string, go to the 7th fret of the 5th string after that, down to the 5th fret, back to the 7th, up to the 9th on the 5th string, back to the 7, 5, 7 on the 5th. And of course you'll see that on the PDF again, but I'm going to go through that one more time. And that's a good exercise for kind of expanding your range of how far you can reach. Because in order to do that, you have to kind of cover a larger area than what your 4 fingers usually cover on the guitar. So you're actually covering an extra fret there. So it's a good exercise. And it just gives you a different perspective on reading those same notes in a different area of the neck. All right, well, this was Reading the Riff number 9. I hope you enjoyed that. If this is your first Reading the Riff, make sure you go and check out the other videos. We go over all sorts of riffs from various genres of music, so definitely check those out. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you enjoyed this video and maybe a few other the Reading the Riffs, definitely subscribe. That way you know when the next one's coming out. I also have other videos on chords, different songs, technique, a whole bunch of stuff. You want to check out as many videos as you can. All right. Also, before I go, let me remind you about the website, themissingmethod.com. If you come to that website and you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get a free ebook. So don't forget about that. Keep practicing, and I will see you in the next video.